Welcome to Ital is Vital, your natural health and wellness stop. Disclaimer: the information in this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Hi guys, thank you for stopping by to share with Julie today. I hope you're having a fantabulous day today, guys. I hope it's a beautiful day for you. I hope it's going really great. And I hope you had a wonderful or have been having a really good holiday season. And it is, we're starting a new year according to the Western world. We're starting a new year. And so this is New Year's 2020. 2020 we are going into. They say 2020 is perfect vision, Perfect vision. So, yeah, so I wanted to take the time to chat with you a little bit. Firstly, I wanted to say thank you. That's the first thing I wanted to say to you. All of you who watch my videos, share the videos, give me likes, all of it, comments, because all of these things help the video. And so it helps a lot when you do show some, you interact with the videos in some way. And so thank you for that. And if you're watching this and you have not subscribed already, don't wait. A lot of good things in store for 2020. So subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. The next thing I want to do is to take the time to say thank you to my two Patreons. Angel Rivota, he has always supported me on Patreon. Thank you, Angel. And Lisa Martin, my newest Patreon. Thank you, Lisa. Your support is appreciated. And for those of you who might want to support me on Patreon, if you like what I do and want to support me that way, you can do so. There's a link in the description box, if you want to. And of course, the third thing I want to just remind people is to always check the blog. I have new information going up, and so always check sometimes. But what I'm going to do is I'm trying to find a way to categorize it better, because I realize that I have some things posted in pages that you might not find readily, but the information is there. So that's something I have to see to. Maybe on a weekly basis or maybe every 2 weeks, I will notify everyone as to what is new, what has been posted on the blog recently. So that's something to look forward to. The fourth thing I wanted to mention is I wanted to reiterate some of the principles or some of the things that Dr. Sebi had spoken about over the years. And I wanted to remind us as we are going into what is now a new year of some of these things. And first thing is that disease, there's only one disease. Dr. Sebi talked about this, and that is the breakdown of the mucous membrane. And wherever that erosion or breakdown occur, a disease manifests itself. And we know that that breakage can occur because of what we interact with, mostly through the foods that we eat. The foods that we eat are acid forming foods, so to speak, and we affect ourselves negatively by the things that we put in our hair. Some of us use really harsh chemicals, in the form of relaxers and different types of gels and so forth that we use on our hair. And so we have to look at those also, and what we put on our skin. Even sometimes we're in environment where they're spraying the air, and or we work in an environment that is toxic, or we live in an environment that is toxic. The air is foul, And you know what Dr. Sebi said about, oxygen being a healer. And so we need, we need to really breathe properly. And so we need fresh air going into our lungs. And so these are some of the things that can affect us. And so as we go forward and we look at what we need to do to bring about improvements for ourselves, it's important that we note these things. So that's something. And another thing that Dr. Sebi pointed out that I think is worth reiterating is that not all foods, not all herbs are equal. There are many hybrid products on the market. There are many hybrid plants, many hybrid foods, and we are told that they are the same as the natural, foods that come out of the belly of nature, so to speak. And it's not the same. And it's important that we recognize this. Science has become the new religion. And so for some people, science is infallible. And we should know by now, if we are paying attention, that that is not true. And we also need to recognize that not all the studies that have been done on individuals relate to us in a definite sort of way. Because as Dr. Sebi pointed out, we are different. And that different is often not treated. And so sometimes when it comes to certain health conditions, the groups of people that they would have examined, for example, might not be of the same ethnic group as you are. Not all the studies that are done on certain diseases are done on black people. That's not the case. And so these are things that we have to be mindful of, the recommendations that are being made. Genetically we are different, and that different is often not treated because people like to say, oh, we are all humans, and they lump it under that umbrella. And so we don't realize that our differences need to be addressed and need to be investigated. And separately, it is important that our differences be investigated separately and see what affects us and how these things may or may not affect us. And one of the things that I would like to point out is the blatant example of the sun. I see many black people getting all triggered about how negatively the sun is affecting us, because you get that from certain media where no, the sun does not affect everybody the same way. When you look at the countries where we are experiencing the highest rates of skin cancer, these are not countries where predominantly the population is black or of African origin. That's not the case. And so we can't just sweep and say the sun is bad. No, certain people cannot stay in the sun for long periods of time. And these are, an example of that is how sometimes things are broad brush and we don't look at ourselves as a group and what affects us and what does not affect us, just as any other group need to look at themselves, sometimes in distinct ways. Some things are quite similar, some things, the requirements are different. And so, that's something Dr. Sebi had pointed out, is that we all have different genetical construct, and that is something I want us to take away. And don't just accept everything because science said it so. We can think of a lot of things that science has said, that even today, there are even things that are in books today that science say is so that is not so. And if you follow the teachings of Dr. Sebi, beyond just what he speaks about herb, you listen to what he really speak on some of the topics that he does touch on, you realize that in many ways it challenges what is being purported by science. And so, that's why I love Dr. Sebi's teachings so much. It forces you to look at things in a different kind of way. As he said, nature is the only university. And so that is another point I wanted to mention that we should take into 2020, as per Dr. Sebi's teaching. And the fifth thing I wanted to say is that, there are so many things that are happening. 2019, a lot of things have happened. We see where, that we have to be vigilant in terms of, what they are doing to the foods, the things that we are being backed into the corner with. People are saying that, oh, you should have this vaccine and that vaccine and so forth. Even in cases where there's, it's just not necessary. Why all the vaccines? For everything now there's a vaccine. Why? Because there are people who are making billions of dollars from it. And the interest is not about our health and wellness. And I think that's something we get carried away into thinking that, they actually care about us, and so it's important that whenever we hear about, new vaccines or new medications or so forth, don't just run towards them and just be willing to accept anything. Always investigate. If you go to the doctor and they say, there's this new drug and so forth, investigate. Don't just willing to just pump anything in your body, because sometimes we, based on what they're giving us, we end up just slowly poisoning ourselves. So be vigilant about what you consume, and what your children consume in all aspects, water, food, even what we feed our minds in terms of sitting in front of the television. We don't know what, in some of these messages, subliminal messages that, are being passed on. And so it's important that we be mindful of these things, do more research. And there are some causes that we have to fight, in terms of our water. We want clean water, but you don't want fluoridated water. Align yourself with groups and organizations that are working, and I mean genuine organizations that are trying to work to effect change, so that is something we also want to look at. Lastly, as a thank you for being a supporter of Ital is Vital, I have a 6 weeks health program outlined, and it will be yours. It will be available New Year's Day 2020, January 1st, 2020. And you can go on the blog, Ital is Vital. I'll have the link down below. And you can download it. And just log in and download. You have to subscribe in order to be able to download it. Well, I think I have rambled on enough. And once again, thank you so much. This is me hugging you. Thank you so much for your support in 2019, and I know 2020 will be better than ever. And like, share, comment, and subscribe. Be the change you'd like to see in this world. Have a fantabulous day today. Ta-ta. Welcome to Ital is Vital, your natural health and wellness stop.